topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Inarticulate speech, inarticulate speech of the heart. Inarticulate speech, inarticulate speech of the heart. Inarticulate speech, inarticulate speech of the heart.
Hello and welcome to It's Your Voice, the show that hosts enriching conversations in diversity. My name is Bahia Yaxan. I'm a diversity educator and a core alignment coach, which simply means I support organizations and individuals in aligning their actions with their values. That often entails helping people learn how to identify patterns of bias that are harmful to them or others, and learning new ways, actually developing new habits, neural pathways that are far more inclusive and which make everyone feel happier when there's a sense of everyone belonging and more inclusion. It just makes the world a better place. If you're interested in looking at some samples of how I teach this, you can look at my website, which is called knowwhatyouvantcoaching.wordpress.com. Today, I am very grateful. We have a guest from the Sojourner Truth African Heritage Museum, and we're going to talk about, we have a board member I'll introduce in just 1 second, who's going to share the vision for the Sacramento metro area and the world from this amazing, powerful museum. But I just want to acknowledge that one reason we're doing this at this moment in time is to honor Juneteenth and how powerful that was. And June 19th, 1865, when the news of the Emancipation Proclamation finally made it to the last rebellious state in the Union, where finally the last population of enslaved people got the news of the Emancipation Proclamation. So I'm very happy that Juneteenth is now a federally recognized holiday. So now let me turn to today's show and welcome our board member. I think we have 2 board members from the Sojourner Truth African Heritage Museum. The first one with us today is the vice chair of the board, Dale Morris. And Dale, come on. And
hey, how are you?
Good. Thank you for being here.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Glad to be here.
Thank you. And
thank you for the invite.
I'm very excited about what you guys have to share. And Marquise is here.
Oh, great.
The secretary.
Yes.
And
hi.
Yay. Thank you for being here. So glad you could make it.
Absolutely.
Yes, we are. Perfect.
Yeah, there's just so I got to visit the Sojourner Truth African Heritage Museum in Sacramento, and I was just amazed. In fact, like it is packed. It is packed with so much like artifacts from Africa, photographs of American African history.
Yeah.
I mean, art exhibits. It just was enthralling. I think my couple of friends and I went and we just sat there. We would just sit there and take breaks as we were absorbing all the information, then get up and go learn more. And such a small space. It was so educational and stimulating and beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to share this time with you both today to talk about it. And Dale kindly mentioned that Marquise, you've been with the museum longer and you are more familiar with its story. So we thought we'd start with what you'd like to say first about it and about your role there and about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Marquis Marcellus and I am the secretary on the board. I actually became a board member this year. And my story with the Sojourner Truth Museum, I my partner and I began the Night Market series, which is an event company. And I was pointed in Shona's direction, who is the curator and director of the museum, in regards to the Banana Festival, which is our largest annual fundraiser, which we'll be talking about momentarily. But I was pointed in her direction because I needed some help. And we came aboard, oh my goodness, I think it was 2022. And we learned more about the Banana Festival and more about the Sojourner Truth African Heritage Museum. And I have been with them ever since because it is such a beautiful museum. The only African American museum in Sacramento, one of the only in Northern California. And essentially, the museum takes you through history and time about African and African American history, and its importance and significance, especially surrounding Juneteenth, the celebration of the Emancipation Proclamation. The museum talks about the past, present, and the future, and how that has affected us as a people, but not just, Black people, but how it's significant to everyone. So, um, the museum is more important than just learning about history. It talks about the relevance to today's time, and what we're currently going through, how history repeats itself. And like you said, I mean, there's so many different exhibitions that really just puts the puzzle pieces together in regards to how the present relates to the past. So that's a little bit about how I came into a partnership with the museum and why I'm here.
Thank you so
Cool.
much. And I apologize. It sounds like I mispronounced your first name. I apologize for that.
Oh, that's fine.
So Dale, what do you want to add about the museum at this point, or your story and your connection and how you came to the museum?
Oh, mine is, I think, like, what's so amazing when we have these conversations, generally they start off with the fact that someone has visited the museum and you were so impacted by the museum that it caused you to want to do something. So that was similar. For me, I'm relocating from Philadelphia. I grew up in California and I moved back east for school and eventually for work. But now I'm coming back. And so a friend of mine, we went through, met at the African Market, which is in the Florence Square Mall. Not Florence Square Mall, but within Florence Square, right there at 24th and Florin. And in that market, not only is a lot of African venues and businesses, but there was the museum. And so I happened to, I said, hey, let's go into the museum. And much like you, I walked in and I won't say overwhelmed, but just amazed by the number of exhibits, the art, the artifacts, the interactive, and just how it was even organized. You can kind of walk through, as Marquis said, you kind of walk through the history of, my ancestors, even your ancestors to a certain extent, and how all of our cultures kind of blended together. And I found it amazing. And back in Philadelphia, we have our own African American museum. And it is not, though it has its own building and its own structure, I didn't have the same feeling, if that's, not to say that the folks in Philadelphia are not trying to do and present, African American history in the best way possible. But when I went through the one here in Sacramento, it was just more impactful. That's just the best way to say it. We have a mural. There's a mural down the side on one of the walls, rather. And so I was just blown away. And so I told, Shona McDaniels, who's the not only director, is the curator as well. And a friend of mine, actually my girlfriend, knows Shona very well. And they were doing something called in January, which was for Black History Month, was the Black Heritage Festival. And it was a 5K run. So I was helping out in that 5K run and volunteering. And then after the 5K run, next thing you know, we had a board and they asked me to be on the board. And so I felt that, and a lot of it was because of the passion we all shared. I think, as Marquis said, there's not just us, it's not just the board. There's an entire staff that is very passionate about the museum. We have grant writers that are very passionate about the museum. And so one of the things that we realized was that we are the, north of Oakland, we're the only African-American museum in the capital city, right? The largest state in the union. And yet we don't have a building. And, to your point, there are some people that know about the museum. And that's why I appreciate this podcast and our opportunity to come on, because now even more people can know about it. Because my mission is to try and get a building, or at least get us in a space where we can begin to spread out and even grow. The other thing that's incredible about our museum is it's multifaceted. In other words, we have youth programs. We partner with an organization called the National Academic Youth Corporation, Youth Corps, that started in 1986. And so that partnership, that, works where we run programs, art programs for kids. We got a program where we help kids learn how to be entrepreneurs, right? We also have a program where we help the elderly. We have programs where we have art programs. And to your point, when you go through the museum, you see a lot of art, right? So you have art, you have African art. And then if you can look to your left, you see African-American art. You look to your right, you might see an African artifact. You look straight ahead, you'll see some history or an exhibit. And I think that is just cool. And then one of our mission, when we talk about, having a mission, our mission is that, and I believe I'm sharing my screen if I'm not mistaken. Is that true? Or can you guys see?
Not yet. We don't see it yet.
Okay. Oh, okay. Here we go. So let me just share. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, our mission statement now is that, our goal is really to open minds and change lives through the exploration and celebration of African-American history, experiences, and cultures through art, education, and outreach. And that's what I was speaking to, when we're reaching out to not only the young and our seniors, but those of us who are, in the working world, right? And then our second point is our vision is of a world in which the adversity and achievement of African-American history inspires everyone towards a greater understanding of acceptance and unity. And I think, as Marquise is sharing, she's going to talk a little bit more about the Banana Fest. But that is an event that we truly try to bring in, and we have over there. Again, Marquise will talk about it. But that is something here in Sacramento that's been really a staple festival in the summertime to bring people together. And that's one of our largest fundraisers. And it helps, along with our youth programs. And it's just an amazing thing. So I don't want to talk too much because I know you have a few more questions for us. But yeah, just the museum is amazing. And the goal is to get us out into the community more often. I mean, yes, we speak with politicians about funding and, grants, and we have a couple of, we'll talk some more about some of the, what we've done with some of the grants that we have, but, we want to keep going and keep growing, so I'm real excited about what we'll have for the future.
That's really exciting to hear about, because it certainly deserves a much more room. And again, my credit to the eyes that set up the layout, because it's this beautiful flow of movement through the room with so much information that you can digest, and does stimulate you and educate you and bring pleasure at the same time. Just incredibly artistically set up.
Yes, most definitely.
And Marquis, do you want to give a shout out to Shona, because I did get to meet her. She's not only an artist and the founder, and this clearly brilliant and highly educated. And I know I traveled so much, but she was so generous with her time. I mean, she took her time to show me and others the different rooms, and it's just so impressive. Can you just sort of add to this amazing human being?
Yeah, so I think sometimes a lot of people forget that Shona is a muralist and she's been doing this for over 20 years. And I'll give you an example. This past February, Shona was one of the curators for the Crocker Art Black History exhibition. She did a huge program there, which included an artist talk, which talked about some of the exhibitions at Sojourner Truth, some of the things that we were seeing at Crocker Art, but then also talking about how artists are impacted and or whether they're getting enough exposure when it comes to Black artists in the community, and Black art. And I was there for that panel, and it was so powerful. And they talked about some of the things that they were doing at Sojourner Truth. And one of the things that you can see right now on 24th and or Franklin and Florin Road, is a part of the beautification project, which is ongoing for the Florin Road partnership. It's a grocery store called Food Max, and they just finished this huge mural, multicultural mural, and it's called Quilted. And this is just one small, and I say one small example, although the mural is huge, but it's just one small example of Shona's contribution to the Sacramento community. And not only that, not only in addition to Shona's artwork, she has trained so many muralists and artists in the community and giving them a space um, to freely create, not only at the museum, but projects that are done by them under Shona throughout the Sacramento community. And if you go to the museum, you'll see a lot of those large murals in the hallways in the museum.
That's right.
And I mean, it's one of those things where if you spend all day at the museum, you could probably get through it, but it's one of those things where you're gonna have to visit and then come back and then you see something new again and you're like, wait a minute, I don't remember this being here, because there's so many and it's so intricate and you get lost in each exhibition. And like you were talking about, you're going through moments in time of history. When it comes to the Sojourner Truth African Heritage Museum, you're talking about African heritage, you're talking about African American history. And just as a reminder, African American history is American history. And so it is a part of our story, it's a part of our foundation. And one of the most brilliant things that you will consume at the African Heritage Museum is those stories about our unsung heroes, the names that you don't hear every day. I mean, we in school where, we learn about Martin Luther King and we learn about Malcolm X and Coretta Scott and, those amazing people. But when you go to the African Heritage Museum, you're also going to learn about names that you've never heard before, Black inventors. I mean, the street lights were created by a Black inventor, light bulbs, refrigeration. I mean, basic necessities that we utilize every single day that people don't think that, oh, okay, this was actually created by a person of African descent. And it's absolutely amazing because you start to expand your knowledge and a lot of things start to make sense when it comes to the history of America, but African American history. And those are some of the things that the museum preserves and teaches you. And it is just absolutely beautiful. I mean, we have tours spanning from tour districts to seniors coming to tour from their senior homes, families coming. And a lot of the students are absolutely amazed because they see people who look like them, that, at that point in time, it was just kind of like, hey, I see an opportunity and I think, this could be done not only to move forward to the future and to have your descendants being able to utilize what you have created and to talk about it and to live it, is absolutely amazing. And I think that if you have not visited this museum, you are absolutely missing out. And like you said, there's so much to digest that when you visit the museum, you're just in awe. And one of the things that I like to highlight too is we have a docent program where students from Sacramento State, Los Rios community colleges, they are trained to give guided tours throughout the museum. Not only are they learning their history, but they're able to teach the younger generation exactly what they're seeing. And a lot of times they will include art projects while they're at the museum. So it makes sense to them where they can just touch, feel, use all of their senses. And that is a part of the community aspect where when it comes to hiring youth at the museum, whether it's an event, whether it's a youth docent, um, the gifts just keep on giving and they keep it within the community. And just to empower another youth to learn about their history and to be able to pay it forward. Um, that's something Shona and her team that they've been doing for over 20 years. And I'm so grateful to be a part of something that's bigger than myself.
Oh, yep. Yeah. And just to add to that, I think Shona, what's kind of cool is Shona does this with her whole entire family. So like our chairperson is her brother, William McDaniel. Her mom, her sister, and her other brothers, they're intricately involved in the museum, specifically her mom. So you literally will see her mom there working. And I think that's cool because, here you have a mom that gets to see how she instilled African-American pride in her children. I'm not going to tell their ages, but, how she's paid it. The mother is seeing how she's paying it forward. And now she gets to see her kids pay it forward. And then they're raising their children because her daughter, she's on the board. And so gets a chance to listen and talk to us adults about some of the things that she believes that the youth want or the young people. And I think, and that's fascinating in itself, that you get the chance to see an entire family dedicated to improving, for lack of a better word, our community. And in trying to be inclusive of everybody. I think, as Marquise stated, you get to see the inventors. I remember as a kid growing up, when I was in junior high school, the first time, and it's going to sound kind of weird, but the first time I really understood I was Black was when they had the Civil War, right? So, you're in school, you learn about the Revolutionary War. So everybody's happy. Everybody's trying to, make America great, for lack of a better word again. But then by time we get to the Civil War, I remember turning the pages and I remember seeing the word Negro and this picture of a slave announcement. I had no idea that was that was part of my ancestry. And I was 12, because I think I might have been 7th or 8th grade. So then at the same time, Roots was coming out. So, and so my history teacher said, hey, as we're learning this, go watch Roots. So that was on a Friday. So I watched Roots Saturday, Sunday. Monday, I was a very angry young man, because I saw some of the things that had happened that I'm learning about for the first time. And so I didn't have a Sojo museum where my parents could take me through and they can say, okay, yes, this is part of, our history, but look what else we've done. And so that week I got in more fights than I ever did in my entire life. And the reason was because some of my white friends thought it was funny, to say, hey, Dale, do you want to be my slave? Or, call me Kunta, or, those different, and it just didn't go over well. And so, but as I got older, I learned, about my ancestors and what we've brought to this country, how we've contributed. And I think that's one of the most important things that we can do for our youth is to show them that they matter, as well as the fact that letting them know where they come from. Because I think that a lot of times when a kid acts out, it's because he doesn't know where he comes from, right? He doesn't know who he is, who he truly is. And as you said, as you go through that museum and you interact, and it's great that our young people in our Dose program from the Sac City, Sac State, and all the different schools, they can relate to a kid because you're like, well, he might be 20 and then other kid might be 15 or younger, but they can relate and say, hey man, look, this is what I know. And it also instills a sense of pride, because to your point, as you're going through it, I felt as I'm going through the museum, I'm an engineer, and that's what I got my degree in. So to be able to see some of the things that were created, like, as Marquise said, the traffic light and things that were created in the construction industry, computer industry, to show how much we've contributed to the success of this country and the various industry was just very, very inspiring. And so, again, we just look forward to continuing that mission that Shona has laid out, that her mother instilled in her. And, and to a certain extent, my mom and Marquise's mom, and I'm presuming your mom as well, instilled this kind of, always give back, make sure you're straight, but, straight enough where you can give back to your community. And so it's cool to be able to, to pay it forward. And so that's what we really, really try to make sure we do with the community. With the museum. So yes, definitely, people should come down and they should see and experience it for themselves. Don't just take me and Marquise's word for it, because it is a wonderful, wonderful place to learn about African history, African American history, and just truly how it all comes together, and I think that's just a good thing.
Oh my gosh, I if I can just take a minute to respond to both of you, to thank you for sharing your perspectives and pieces of your story, because I just want to underscore a couple of things y'all both said before we go to some pictures that I think will help share more about the vision. But just like, that absolutely, of course, African American history is American history, and we've all suffered, not to the same degree, not in the same ways, but for the lack of being informed and educated about everyone's history in this country. It's just done us all tremendous disservice, which we don't need to talk about. But and believe me, Dale, we know you're not the only person who's felt angry. I remember in third grade being like furious when I found out about witch burnings. Like what? And thank God we're in a different place, and thank God for communities like yours and mine and ours and our communities coming together to find the positive, to educate, and that you're extending so much incredible modeling of it, extending it to the youth and paying it forward. And that, like, just even like Marquis, when you named some of the names, the few names we're told in the books, and thank God things are changing. I know that's the good thing. I know there's like backlashes and resistance, but this is countering all that stuff. This is producing like really positive solutions.
Absolutely. Yes.
But I just want to mention, like, we hear Sojourner Truth name, barely, like Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, quickly, 2 seconds,
Right.
2 paragraphs. But just like learning more, I think that's part of why walking through Sojourner Truth African Heritage Museum is so powerful, because it's healing. Like, it's healing. Like you said, like, it makes sense of history. It brings it together, like you both said, like, oh, that's what happened, or that explains that, or that's why that. And of course, it just like creates this amazing, like, new ability to comprehend on a deeper spiritual level of appreciating what peoples have gone through, and that we would have done anything the same when we were in that position. It's just like education is healing, to being informed and reaching our higher intelligence and our emotional intelligence. So sorry that took so long, but I just wanted to thank you both for saying that and underscore it. And I just want to see, is this a good time? I know Dale has brought some pictures you can share to help show more aspects, more about the exhibits and the future and the planning and the vision.
Oh, sure. So one of the exhibits, let me see, let me bring it up here real quick. Share screen. So so if you go to our website, one of the things that you will see on the website is that we have a which is Sojo Art Museum, www.sojoartsmuseum.org. And so on that website, you will see, current exhibits and all the different events that we have coming up. So some of our current exhibits that are still up today, talks about the Black Cowboys, and their impact on the the frontier, because a lot of times people don't know that there wasn't just white cowboys, and and they were definitely black cowboys that were part of settling the West, and and working with the Native Americans here, and trying to make the country better. It wasn't always fighting all the time. And then you have the Black offenders, and a lot of as we talked about the what things that were invented by African Americans, and as well as we talk about Black astronauts. A lot of the first individuals that were Black astronauts or fighter pilots. We even have one exhibit that kind of talks a little bit about African American soldiers and what they did in each of the major wars here that America's fought in. And then there's an exhibit also with as you talk about escaped slaves that became millionaires, and we talk about both Black women and Black men. And that I find that's cool as well, is that the museum makes sure that we include exhibits about Black women and the impact that not only African and African American women have had on the country and the world. So there's exhibits for that. Did you want to say something, Marquise? I thought I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I was just piggybacking on what you were saying and talking about, for example, the Black Cowboys, where Black men and women were the first cowboys in America. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that, yes, you have this story about cowboys, and you see certain depictions where it is traditionally white men. But the very first cowboys in America were Black men and women.
Yeah.
And then, like Dale was talking about, and you're talking about your different Black inventors. And that's when I was talking about those unsung heroes, because a lot of the things that we use that are necessities in our households right now, including refrigeration, was created by a Black man. And then the Dunlap room, another exhibition, was one of the first Black restaurants in Sacramento, which a lot of people don't know about. And then you talk about the Great Migration, where people were coming from where African Americans were coming from the South to Harlem to build better lives. And that's when you saw the boom of jazz and art and poetry and writing, and some of the Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston's. And that was how they that was their contribution to African American history, and how they resisted a lot of the things that were going on in their lives through academia, writing, and art and culture. I mean, that, like, Dale was talking about, there's hundreds of exhibitions at the Sojourner Truth Museum, and we can't get through all of them on this podcast, but it just goes to show you how expansive this museum is. You're not just going to get a couple of exhibitions that are going to teach you about something new. No, you're going to get hundreds of new facts that you probably were never taught in school, because usually people don't learn about that stuff until post-secondary, but we won't go into that because I could talk about that forever. But just the transatlantic slave trade, and I think in order for us to be progressive now, like, we have to know our history, because if you don't know why and how history repeats itself, that's how we get in trouble.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, and what's on the screen now are just some of the exhibitions and events that we've done, like our last big event was a Big Day of Giving, which was in May, that we were a part of, which was a lot of nonprofits coming together and trying to raise money. And that's one thing I think people need to definitely understand is that in order for us to continue, you need donations, whether that's, a free donation or becoming a member or, through corporations and different events. It's so very important because a lot of times, you can go on a website and like this particular Big Day of Giving website, they'll show how much is the quote unquote operating budget, and people can see that number and say, oh, you don't really need money. But what, we must understand is that money's already spoken for. You know what I mean? It's not something where it's put it to the side. That money goes to every program that we run because we're a nonprofit. We're a 501c. And so, there is no profit. And so what we try to do is continuously, raise money through donations and partnership and sponsorships for our exhibits. And as they say, is that, people who give and support, it continues to help us to continue our mission. So this is just a couple of the exhibitions. And again, you'll find this on our website. Here is the arts. And I think one of the things that I was very impressed about was that we have a room in the museum that's kind of dedicated to the various African art. A lot of Shona's work is there, as well as other African-American artists. So you go into a room and you get a chance to see what we've put on canvas, and show our talents on canvas. I think as Marquise talked about, one of the programs that Shona has is she does an art program for not only the youth, but for seniors and anyone who's really interested in delving into the arts, and those, youth that are into the murals, and just bringing out that talent and just showing you that you can be more, and that you can do more, much like your ancestors, and that you don't necessarily have to be held down by what society says should be your standard for your people or for yourself. And I think that again, that's something that's real important. The museum, again, as we talked about, is into community beautification. So one of the things that we've done is that you're going to start seeing before the end of the year, we have these chairs. We're doing these chairs are about 10 feet tall, and they're people chairs. And as you can see, these are just an example rather. And this is, as you can see, Governor Gavin Newsom, he happened to be at an event, and, we were showing what the chairs were going to look like. And he happened to sit in one. And, our goal is to have these chairs along, again, they'll be along the Florin Road, as well as I think there'll be about 4 or 5 chairs that'll actually be at the African market, right in the entryway, not in the entryway, but there's an area. Yeah, there's an area right in front, and you'll be able to see the chairs, and the chairs are about 10 feet tall, and they're being made by a gentleman by the name of Larry Meeks, and he's a metal artist. And what I put on the screen right now is these are the chairs that they're working on, and you can see they're going to be huge chairs.
Actually, I'm going to interrupt you, Dale, because we can't see. Can you screen share? Because we actually can't see what you're seeing.
Oh, okay.
It's okay if we can't. That's okay. People can go to the website later, but if you can try to screen share.
Oh, okay. Well, it's saying it's okay. I'll stop sharing. I'll try again.
Okay, you might
because it said on my part that it was sharing on my end. So let me try again. Gotta love technology, right?
Yeah. And Marquis, while he's doing that, is there a contact information you can say, and I can like an email address if people there now we're seeing it.
Okay. Did you see some of the other things I was talking about?
No, I didn't want to interrupt you, but now we
okay. So here's the exhibitions. Can you see the exhibitions?
Oh yes, now list of exhibitions. Okay.
So that was the exhibitions we were talking about, the Big Day of Giving.
Okay.
And this is the art that I was speaking of.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yep. So this is the art that I was talking about in the room that, it's not, I won't say dedicated, but where you can walk in and you can see the art.
Powerful.
And then this is, as I was describing, the people chairs by the metal artist Larry Meeks. And then you see here, this was an example of the chairs, and not as large, but as you see, this is Governor Newsom sitting in one of our chairs at an event. And so so that's what you're going to see along Florin Road, and that business district along there, as well as in front of the African American Museum. The owner of the property, Mr. Donaldson, has designated an area that he likes to see the chairs, and it's going to be right in front of the African the market right there.
That is unique. I have never seen people paint chairs in such a way.
Yeah. And what's cool about this was a beautification project that we were awarded a grant from California Department of Transportation, Caltrans, and to build these chairs. So it's part of their whole beautification project along Florin Road. So again, we're out there. It's just sometimes, and again, why I appreciate the board and Sojo, we really appreciate this opportunity that you provided us to give an opportunity to let people know, what we're doing, and that we're out in the community, and what we've been doing with the community for years. And then here, so this is our upcoming event that Marquise is basically, I'm going to say running, but Marquise may not use that term. But definitely she can speak to this event and its impact on not only Sacramento, but the community at large.
Yeah, can you tell us a little?
Yeah, sure, Bahia, and thank you, Dale. So the Sacramento Banana Festival has been running for over 25 years. And for the past 13 years at William Land Park, Village Greens, which is on Freeport and Sutterville. It's a 2-day festival. This year it is August 17th through 18th. And traditionally we get over about 8,000 people over the span of 2 days. And what you'll find at the Banana Festival. So a little bit about the Banana Festival. We wanted to come up with Shona wanted to come up with something that was interesting. And as you know, bananas grow all over the world. So it is a multicultural festival that showcases multiple cultures at one time. And so we have a large entertainment lineup, including a huge food court that encompasses over 20 to 25 food vendors from the Sacramento area and surrounding areas. We have a large kids zone, which will have inflatable obstacle courses. We have a children's stage as well that will have that will showcase performances by different children's groups. And then we also have a huge art section, because this goes into a part of our mission through culture, through art education and outreach. Every event that we do, we have a community mural where community members can take part in helping create a mural that is labeled by numbers. And they will come with their children, and they're able to paint and finish murals with artists. One of our artists is Taylor Pinnell, which he usually hosts the community mural at the Banana Festival. And it's always a lot of fun. The kids love it. The parents love it. And you'll have a lot of different exhibitions and attractions at the Banana Festival, including we partner with a lot of different museums, including one of them this year will be the Children's Museum. So there's a lot of free arts and crafts for the kids and families to partake in. And traditionally, Saturday, it runs from 10 to 7, Sunday, 10 to 5. We also have exercise in the morning that you can take part of. I mean, you name it, we got it at the Banana Festival.
Yes.
And so
that sounds like so much fun.
Yes. And the food is absolutely amazing.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure I gain at least 10 pounds every year at the Banana Festival.
Now, Marquise, are tickets available now, or
tickets are available now on Eventbrite?
Okay.
So you can go to the website or Eventbrite.
And the website, go ahead. And so you want to say what the website was? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The website is www.bananafestivalsac.com.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And then we also have retail vendors from around the Sacramento community, as well as community resources. And so not only are you going to find a little bit of something for everyone, including some things you can shop for, really, really good food that you can eat, but then also resources in your neighborhood that can be beneficial to your family. And it's all about getting the word out about what's around you
Yeah.
and what's available to you. And that is a big part of Sojo. And a lot of the youth that you see walking around picking up trash, they are a part of the Sojo Youth Employment Program. So when we talk about fundraising and what this festival does, it just keeps it going, especially giving back to our youth, helping employ our youth, educate our youth, but also families as well, and giving them resources. A lot of times when we have events, especially the youth nights that happen I believe, every third Saturday, 6 to 9 p.m., this is totally free to youth and families. They are fed. They are given opportunities for employment when we talk about youth entrepreneurs showcasing their merchandise. They are educated. They are given a safe space to play video games and dance and sing and whatever. And a lot of times they'll have different art projects that they can partake in. And so that's another important part of what Sojo does, is just really creating those safe spaces for our underserved families and youth, so that
That's
they have
fantastic.
somewhere to be. Absolutely. And so, I mean, beyond the Banana Festival, we have our annual Black Heritage Festival. And then upcoming as well, we will have our gala in September. That
Yeah.
is for September 28th. So stay tuned for that. But yeah,
Wow, that's impressive.
yeah,
Yes.
Save August 17th, 18th. Save the date for the Banana Festival. And I'm
yes,
Yes.
so excited to hear about the youth nights.
yeah.
Did you say every third Saturday?
I
It's
believe it. Yes,
the
it is every
food
third,
opportunity
or not every third Saturday, it's every third Friday.
every
Every
third
third
Friday.
Friday of the month,
Okay,
in partnership with Escape Velocity and Sojourner Truth Museum. They have hundreds of youth out during this event, where the youth are fed and given, meals, full meals, free food, and not just the youth, but the families as well. And they have all ages.
fantastic.
Usually it's tailored for 12 and older, but everyone is welcome, even the babies, and they always have something for everyone.
Yes.
But not only are they having
Fantastic.
fun, but they are being educated as well.
And opportunities for employment and connection and building relationships and oh my gosh,
Yes.
that's so beautiful. I can't believe it. We only have about 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
this
okay.
is wonderful information. I'm so excited. Does either of you want to have a closing thought? And I just want to make sure I thank everybody when y'all are done. So
Oh,
you want to just,
absolutely. Well, yeah, I can go really quickly. So basically, again, thank you so much for this opportunity, because you're really helping Sojo go to the next level. And we really want to use our expertise and experience at Sojo to engage the youth in our community. And we really want to let them know, again, who they are, where they come from, and where they can go, and that their potential is unlimited, like our ancestors before them, and what our ancestors shown. We also want to engage our elderly. We want to let them know that they're not forgotten. They matter to our future and the future of our youth. And more importantly, to engage our adults from 18 to 60, the corporations, with community-based funding, politicians, and other advocacy groups, really just to let everyone know that, when we partner together, we're the glue to the community, and just keeping everything together. Because without the partnership, we've seen how our communities can be fractured. And the ones that get hurt the most are the youth and the elderly. And so Sojo is really working hard to, bring everyone together. And as Marquis said, the Banana Festival is just one of the events that we use. And then, the way the audience can help Sojo achieve this dream of, Sacramento community in the world is, again, visit the website, get that experience, feel this experience of our culture, go to our website, www.sojoartmuseum.org, donate, become a member, or reach out to us via email, which is Sojo, Sojo, museum, SUSEUM @gmail.com, or even call us, and if you,
Take a tour.
questions,
Take
the numbers,
tour.
take that tour. Absolutely. The number is 916-320-9573. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity. We really, really appreciate it. And we look forward, if possible, to coming on again to, to talk to you, to let you know what we're doing, again, with the upcoming gala in September.
You can count on that. Oh my gosh. Thank you both. Thank you, Marquis. And thank you, Dale. I'm so grateful for y'all, and you will definitely be invited back. And I just want to thank the listeners and the viewers and our engineer, Rebel, and our producer, and ask everyone to tune in next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time to It's Your Voice on Talk4TV or W4CY.com. And may we all have enriching conversations and activities and diversity this week and onward. Thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Inarticulate.